Who knows, maybe some of these so-called UFOs were government attempts at making space mirrors. Who knows, right? The aerosols, there's a lot of facts that they've sprayed sulfur dioxide in the air purposely to block the sun, and that is the facts behind it. Bill Gates is doing a big experiment in New Mexico without public consent, where they're just spraying loads of sulfur dioxide, which is harmful to the health. And even the facts that we do know about just military jets, their jet fuel, the emissions that come from that are toxic, and for them to be spraying massive amounts for just drills or for fun is really cool. It's not worth the budget. I mean, there's a lot of different angles we can look at this from. Cloud seeding, there's a lot of iffy questions about that. We don't know exactly what chemicals are used in that. There is some disclosure that, that there's patents, for example, that have been purchased, and some of these great archiving organizations like Sedona Skywatch or Northern Arizona Skywatch have provided links for you to review this information about, like government patents where they talk about using aluminum and barium and spraying it into the clouds and having aerosol sprays to collect the particulate matter and create a rainfall or create clouds for that matter. A really weird one here is ocean fertilization, where they use iron fillings to stimulate CO2 eating plankton. That just sounds really like a misappropriation of funding. I think there's better ways. As we know, just planting plants. You never hear Al Gore or these real environmental advocates out there that are catching mainstream attention talk about things like planting trees or planting hemp. They talk about sustainable use of oil. But if anyone wants to research that subject, it's a totally different subject, but we could go to completely hemp-based fuel source. All the diesel buses right now could run off of it, and it's much more effective and clean, okay? So we have options, but geoengineering is the subject when I talk about this. This is a type of platform used to disperse sprays into the atmosphere. There's a gentleman by the name of Fred, who, I can't recall his last name, I just talked to him recently. He's also an advocate for disclosure on geoengineering. He says that he has some footage of these around the area behind some mountain ranges on Indian land. So these are all over the United States. They put them in the ocean, I guess, based on this diagram, but also they will just spray pollutants right in the atmosphere. We've all seen these trails. This is a sulfur dioxide chart that just shows the compounding sulfur dioxide over the northern hemisphere. Some more info on geoengineering. It's very strange stuff, and they can spend millions of dollars on this, billions of dollars, and we want to know, is it really helping the planet, and is it harmful to our health? These are tanks from the Evergreen facility on their aerial planes, their jets. You know, they have the tanks filled with pollutants that we are not allowed to know. Here's another picture of tanks. This is what they call us, people that want to talk about having the right to know what they're spraying. They call us tinfoil, hat-wearing kooks. I hope I don't, appear crazy to you. I actually worked for a juvenile detention facility. I don't know if that says anything, but I had to go through certain psychological evaluation to get that job. I mean, they do want to label us, and there's a lot of opponents out there, so it's important to know the people that want to oppose this oppose our meetings and our discussions on the right to know are the people deeply entrenched in this. Geoengineering has been going all over the globe for a long time now. There's strange geoengineering practices like burning trees and taking all the charcoal and putting it into the ground. That somehow, when it's mixed with the soil, sequesters carbon into the soil. That's one theory, and they've been doing this in third world countries and all these yellow areas. There's certain diagrams on this chart. This is from what's called etcgroup.org. And we'll have a lot of resources for you. Again, those main groups are geoengineering. Geoengineering is a key word to look. Chem-trail groups, but again, we want to separate facts from fiction and speculation. This is a picture of a jet purposely spraying a particulate matter. Okay, this is a separate jet from the engines. And that's important to notice. If anyone feels that they are getting sick from it, this is just a nice little chart I found with some things that are good for it. Colloidal silver, which I've used is tremendous for all kinds of ailments. But here's some list of some good vegetables: apple cider vinegar. These will all help get rid of heavy metals in the body that are released by these plants. And there is a lot of information out there. There's government legislation has been put forward that literally is written as if it's to protect you from any kind of aerial spray that's to harm you, but in the same legislation it has an exemption to the whole rule, saying that if it's for a kind of military testing, then it's legal, and that's the problem that we have right now. So I wish I had those documents right here to see, but again, the world, if you watch the movie What in the World Are They Spraying, or Why in the World Are They Spraying, they go over all this stuff, they show you the links, the data, the government patents, the bills, the legislature. There's a tremendous amount of resources out there. You know, this is spray coming out of the tips of the plane wings. You know, there's no excuse for that. What are they doing? They're putting a purposeful spray in the air. There was a whole case in California where they were spraying for what was called the light brown moth, and they were putting a real pesticide over the cities to kill a moth that when people investigated, they found this moth isn't harming crops or threatening crops or anything. They were just killing this moth and putting poisons everywhere, and it was causing them a big mess and a lot of economic and environmental damage. And that's all on the record. This is another tanker with huge jets. You know, this stuff is interesting to look at. There's tons of pictures out there. This is from a news report of a fellow who collected some water that was analyzed, and we've seen a lot of analysis of water after it has rained, or the air after a heavy spraying, and it always shows up with very normal amounts of toxic heavy metals. And there's even been, what's really interesting is, you know, there's been some evidence to show that there have been biological microbes or pathogens in these as well. And I mean, this just blows your mind, but I mean, this is why it's such a topic of concerns. So the importance of this meeting is we should immerse you all into the information. There's a lot of people that are already in the know, but rather than talking about all the theories about why this is going on or why it's allowed to exist, it's definitely important to just focus on realizing that I think everyone in this room could agree that we don't know what this is. We can do our own research and find the government isn't truly disclosing it, although there's a lot of evidence. But can I get a show of hands of people that want to know what it is they're actually spraying? So the consensus is there. We need to move forward and sort. Solutions we're going to be talking about are what can we do to have disclosure. I'm going to play a little film. It's about 15 minutes.
Sir, excuse me, do you know which airports you're inquiring from?
Military airports, I don't know exactly. I'm not an expert on it, but I can tell you the main base for really the whole northern hemisphere of North America is Evergreen Facility in Pima County. Pima County, Evergreen Facility.
It's between Phoenix and Tucson, off McCartney Road. You can see it from the highway.
This is a section from a film I made, now specifically designed for this conference. I just recently made an independent film about solutions that can be applied to a whole list of problems facing society. And I hope this will be very educating and enlightening for a lot of you that are not aware of these solutions. If you are, congratulations. Yes, geoengineering is the top concern. Another one is GMO foods. I also just talked about the whole hemp conspiracy, okay? There's a difference between a conspiracy theorist and a conspiracy analyst. And I want you all to feel as though we're all analysts here looking to find the facts on these issues. The same people who are against the disclosure of geoengineering, there's corporate ties to the people who are against the disclosure of GMO food effects, and there's also corporate ties to people who are against the legalization of industrial hemp, as well as the pharmaceutical companies then that are tied into the whole sick care industry, which is the sicker you are, the more they make, the more profits they can make off selling pharmaceuticals and legal cannabis for diseases like cancer and AIDS and things of that nature. Yes?
Do you know if there's a difference in there that's marching against Monsanto the 25th?
That's a good question. I saw a March Against Monsanto website, and I did not see Sedona on the list. Okay, here we go. Here's some sound, but hopefully there will be one.